let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah, she so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. She give me a bit of her love. Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another one, man. It's your boy Rob One, and this is Sparking Conversation. And y'all know what I do each and every week. I get up here and I talk to some of the world's most interesting people. And tonight I'm gonna do the same thing. But y'all know I gotta do like I do each and every week. I gotta give it up to all the people that download the audio version of this platform. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. I will forever say that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very important that people understand that this part of the platform game it's important, but not as important as your audio, right? Because you stream it on Spotify, Apple, all these other places, and people really, tuned into what you got to say and what your guests got to say. That's why I say it's fly whenever you get downloads, because that way you adding substance out here, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what I want for my platform. I want my platform to be valuable to somebody. Even if it ain't valuable to everybody, I want it to be valuable to somebody. So the fact that people download the audio version helps me to understand that there is value in what I'm doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. So y'all know what I got to do. So we're going to get into this right here, y'all. So for all the people that's been hitting me, asking me about We Don't Wait, We Create. So We Don't Wait, We Create, one of the dopest networking events I'm putting together. Yes, it's going to be super fly. We got the homie Vincent M. Ward from The Walking Dead. He will be in the building, chopping it up with all the inspiring actors, actresses, and people in the film industry, period. All right. So along with him, I have Don Moore also going to be in the building. And what he's a talent manager to a bunch of different people in the fashion industry, but he rocks around with a lot of people in the industry. Okay. So he will definitely be in the building talking to, all the models and inspiring them to learn how to turn their passion into profit, not just be out here and jumping in and out of people's fashion shows and all these other things without no direction for your modeling career. So he will be in the building as well. Then we got Yessie Rodriguez. She will be in the building as well, chopping it up with all the people that's inspiring to get booked and inspiring just to be in other projects. You have to sharpen your tools in your toolbox. So she will definitely be in the building, telling everybody what's going on with Slay the Scene Acting Academy and the workshop. She will be setting up new classes, workshops, and her acting academy is something totally different, but she's working on it to help all you people sharpen your skills. If some of y'all are just want to get the extra tools that you need to be able to self-tape correctly for all these auditions, or be prepared for the audition in a way where you confidently go in there and you kill whatever it is. When we say Slay the Scene, she will be in the building as well. So y'all get ready. Also, we got the homie Grammy-nominated award producer Mike Blaze going to be in the building. That's right. So for all the artists that we're trying to get everybody to connect, the artists, the models, the clothing lines, we're trying to get everybody to connect, because that's how we put these projects out. These projects will be more successful if everybody understands their place in the film game. Like, we all can get a bag, right? So that's the reason why I have these set of guests. They will be in the building. So I'm hoping that all of y'all out there be in the building. Y'all know what to do. Y'all just got to get y'all tickets at thecollectiveevents.net. Right there on the screen. All you got to do is go to collectiveevents.net. Go ahead and purchase your tickets. Go back and go ahead and RSVP. Let us know what you do in the industry. And boom, we're going to be ready for you on August 22nd. All right? Bet. So, on top of all that, let's do this real quick, because there's a lot of people that are in business, right? And those people who are looking to expand their brand and really get the knowledge, because I know so many people out here just need the information. They got everything else. They just need the information. So this is what I'm doing. I'm having a special webinar live right here on Sparking Conversation with the with Daryl Stern. Now, he's a brand marketing guru. Like when I say that, like when you guys research him and see what he's done for people, he has helped people go from $0 a month on their brand, regardless of what your brand is. If you got a clothing line, if you got a podcast, whatever it is, to actually scale in multiple figures per month. All right. He's going to be in the building, giving y'all the knowledge and also being open to taking on new mentees because we all need mentors if we're trying to go to the next level of people who know how to get there. So he's definitely going to be in the building. I have 9 available. No, I only have 8 now because we've been marketing and promoting. So we got 8 VIP seats left. It's free for you to join. I just need the people that are serious about their brand and about their craft and they want to know the information. If that's you, then hit me up. I'll put you on the live so you could be on the live stream. Other than that, everybody else will be able to watch us live as we discuss the tricks and the ins and outs of what to do to help yourself get to that next level. All right. So I want to see all of y'all there. It's going down July 21st. All right. July 21st. So hit me early if you want to be one of those people that's on the actual live with them so you can ask questions while you're live with them, not just through the chat. Right. So that's what we're doing out here. So get ready, get ready, get ready. All right. Okay. On top of that, y'all know we had the new piece of content drop today, Ooblifter Part 28. I'm so proud of this series and everything that we're shooting right now because it's starting to resonate with people. It's been resonating, but I guess right now, since everything is still, being processed with the way the industry is transitioning, the fact that people are paying attention to what the boy is doing. So thank y'all so much. We got so much new content ready to drop that I haven't dropped yet. And we're in the lab, filming and creating new. So thank y'all. If any of y'all want to watch this particular piece of content right here, y'all know the vibes. Go to my page on YouTube, Team Collective TV. It'll be there. And you can go to Facebook on my page right now. It's pinned to the top of the page. Go check it out. Give me a like, comment, or share. Let me know how you feel about that joint. Word up. All right. So the Goodfellas brand, I can't forget to mention them. Y'all know the vibes. The Goodfellas brand are the THC infused seltzer water that helps you to get to where you're going without alcohol. For those people who like to get a little something when they drinking, but not feel the effects of alcohol and all the things that go with it, the Goodfellas brand is here for you. They have a bunch of different flavors, and you get 20% off your total order. So all you got to do is click the link in the description. Go ahead and place your orders. And go ahead and get to it because, like I said, there are people who do a lot of things, but then there's those who do the things natural. THC is one of the most natural compounds you can put in your body to help you with a bunch of different things. So we understand what you call all the things that they talk about when it comes to THC, marijuana, and all these other things. We know the stigma that comes with it. People, please do your research and understand what it is and how can it affect you and help you. For all the things that they're trying to do to us out here, we got to help ourselves. So y'all remember that. Y'all go get that. All right. And last but not least, I wanted to make sure y'all know this because we say this each and every week. There is an attack on the human body through the means of parasites. And I'm telling y'all, a lot of people are walking around here with parasites in their body and they don't know. They never been told about that. They don't understand. They think that they dealing with stuff that's just being passed down through their family. Besides the fact that you eat the certain foods, it's just certain things that we do that we don't understand. We go all these places, we patronize all these places. We see people with the fancy sushi and all these other things. But you got to realize that parasites come with a lot of this stuff, and you have to be able to get that out yourself. The doctor's not going to tell you because the parasite is what keeps you coming back and forth on that copay and everything else you're paying. They understand that, so they only do enough to treat what's going on and not cure what's going on. But we don't have the luxury of being able to afford to keep going back and forth through a revolving door of somebody that's doing something purposely to hurt us. So we got to do something purposely to help us. And if you guys will do the research and figure out the effects of parasites in the body, compare it to how you feel, and if those things line up, then I need y'all to click the link in the description and get y'all the parasite detox. Learn more about it, then go to the website, learn more about it, get that, and get it in your system and start detoxing yourself now. You cannot wait until later on. You got to get it now. Remember, health is wealth. So don't forget, all right? So look, I got my guest in the building. So before I bring my guest up, y'all know I gotta go on my rant, and this is what we're gonna talk about. Um, so a lot of y'all hit me about what I said last week, right? Because of me talking about, the different things that's been going on in the United States that's forcing us into some type of civil racial war, right? All these different things that's going on when it comes to us, and they've been using our emotions against us for the longest. Every time we realize that our emotions are being used against us and it's time for us to think logically, whenever there's been a leader in place that caught that vibe, they've done something to them. The one thing that I will say is that everything that's going on, whether it's the Rick Child thing going on in South Carolina with the young boy that he unarmed kid that he killed running away from his store, or whether it's the Gwen E. White lady who, well, she pretty much shot a couple of attorneys because they represent in the city or the police department that was responsible for allowing her mother to get poisoned, first taken from her, right? And then allow her mother to get poisoned and unalived by a bunch of people who just wanted to get at her. They use her mom as a pawn to get at her based on stuff that they thought that she knew because she used to work for the government. And then you got everything going on with Carmelo Anthony and that type of situation. And now the rhetoric has been all the people that felt like they got duped by supporting and putting money in to try to help with his legal defense and all these other things because they felt like, yo, we want to help. You know what I'm saying? A young black man against white men or a white situation, another racial situation. And all these people jumped in there only to find out that, you know, um, the way that little man did what he did, like, and I think that's the thing that got everybody down is because the fact of they kept saying that he was going to get jumped and stuff like that, but they never said that anybody threw a punch. So for me, you know what I'm saying? I could understand if he did that because they were actually fighting. But ever since the reports came out, they never said a fight really took place. It was a bunch of back and forth talking and, threats and all these other things that happened before somebody got fatally stabbed. Now, listen, y'all, there's a time when we're supposed to stand up for each other when injustices are being done to us, but not just from white or Asian or any other type of people. It's got to be from, even when it's from us, we got to be able to stand up the same way. It's so many people that's being what they call neighborhood or what you want to call just in your environment. People are being killed and unalived in their environment by people who look like them, who have the same situations that they have, that's going through the same poverty-stricken situation that they are, but they will allow their emotions to be the ones that they felt like is more important than everybody else, and they hurt other people that look just like them, but they will not do nothing to the oppressor or the person that is responsible for putting them in that position. And so when it comes down to that, all these people are so upset with everybody that looks like me who wasn't down with the whole Carmelo Anthony thing in the beginning, because we should not be supporting that, right? The number one thing that we should do is that it's a difference between self-defense and doing what we got to do to survive. And then there's another thing for us walking around being ready to take another person's life just because we feel some type of way. That's two different things. And look, I'm not for or against Carmelo Anthony because two lives has been taken. One has been taken literally, and the other one has been taken away from everybody else in society as a 17-year-old man who's now got to live his life based on those choices. And then no telling what's going to happen to him while he's growing up in a prison system, because his development, for men, our real development starts around that age, from when we are learning how to go or what direction to go in. And the fact that that's the portion of his life that he's going to spend in prison. Listen, y'all, me personally, I feel sorry for both of their families, not because one ain't better than the other. I saw the interview with, Metcalf's dad or whatever, and he was popping all this shit and, just talking mad racist. I saw that, but then on the flip side, I saw everybody else who was talking about the trial before the trial or even after on the Carmelo Anthony side. It's no different. Everybody talking from a racist standpoint. Nobody is talking from a right or wrong, y'all. And that's the vibe, because listen, we already know the laws are against us. There's nothing set up that's for us when it comes down to us, because we don't create or change anything. You understand what I'm saying? We just complain. Just like I told y'all, they went down there and tore up the gas station in South Carolina because what happened, instead of putting their money together and buying the damn gas station. That way they could give out as much water as they wanted to. But nah, y'all got upset, went down and destroyed a gas station where these people went ahead and got that money for that gas station through their insurance. All businesses have insurance. Y'all did nothing but put more money in the person's pocket. That's all y'all did. Y'all did not do nothing to hurt the person or the business or the establishment that y'all went to go take care of just because y'all was upset about what happened to the young boy that got killed. We should be upset, but more so, you should be upset that we still don't own nothing. Lil Man should be able to go to a gas station in his neighborhood that's owned by people in his neighborhood. What's wrong with that? Why that's not the vibe? Why we not thinking about that? Yo, word is born, man. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm not the one for that. I get it. So many people been hitting me, asking me, are you gonna talk about his dad and what he said and all this, or Charleston White because he claiming he taking his money back because the dad and all that? No, I don't want to talk about it from that angle. Right is right, wrong is wrong. When I do something wrong, I guess I'm gonna have to deal with it. But when I'm right and I'm being done wrong, then I can expect people to jump in and want to help me get that wrong corrected, but not when I did the wrong. And that's how all of us should be. Honor is one thing that's lost amongst all of us, right? Because we too busy in our own way. So look, let me get to these comments real quick before I bring my guest up. You know what I mean? Because look, I feel like I'm just gonna keep going, so we're not gonna go through that. I want to get my guest up here so we could chop it up because there's things that we need to know, and we're gonna go through. Salute, Cam. What's up, bro? Salute to you, man. I appreciate you checking in. Jason, what up, yo? I appreciate that, man. I'm good, bro. Word up. Yo, what's good, man? I appreciate that on the check-in. Yeah, bro, this is live right now. You know what I'm saying? So you on live. I appreciate you checking in. And let's see what this says. Where we at with it, bro? I'm from the UK, but I'm puffing on something that was probably cultivated around the corner from you. I can dig that, bro. And I'm glad you checked in on that vibe because that's the vibe we want to see people in. So just hang in there and continue to rock out with us throughout the show. But look, this is what we're gonna do, y'all. I'm gonna bring my guest up so we can figure out what's going on in her world and we can move things along. Let's see. Jessica, what's going on?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm great. Thank you so much for joining the platform. I really appreciate you. All right.
Ah,
So
thank you for having me on.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's do this. Would you mind introducing yourself to the audience and then just letting them know why you're on the platform this evening?
Yes, so I am the founder and CEO of Daughters of Both Sons. I own a nonprofit organization tailored for Black and Latino women specifically, but also Black and Latino families. We have various amount of programs. I deal with trauma informed care, advocating, mental health support. I'm very big on culturally aligned care, whether that's with your mental health or physical health as well, and advocating and doing community events locally here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but we're also working nationwide as well. So we're advocating and also, just breaking the disparities in our systems, especially with our communities of color. So a lot of advocacy work goes into that and education as well.
Dope, dope. I like that. And I appreciate you wanting to come on the platform and talk about this because there are a lot of disparities within our culture where so many people think that your first language is what separates you, and it's really not. It's so much more that we have in common outside of whatever our first language is versus what people use to separate us, right? So this is what I want to do. I want you to do me a favor and let's talk a little bit about your start and wanting to be an advocate for people who are dealing with these things, right? Because we know mental health is one of the things that is the biggest deterrent of everything that's supporting in people's lives, right? Whether it's your family, your job, or whatever. Your mental issue or your mental health is what determines your success or your failure, right? So when did you first receive the passion or, decided that this was what your life purpose was?
Well, I think for me, it was a variety of different factors. It wasn't just one thing because I've been through so much in my own personal life. And when I was looking for access to care, right? Um, there was many times, and I'll just be honest, that my well-being physically and mentally was played with, to a point where I had a Caucasian therapist call me. Can I say the word here?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
She called me a bitch. And I was taken aback. I'm like, whoa. She told me I was acting like a bitch, and I'm like, wait. I mean, this was 15 years ago, even before we had all of this education about mental health and culturally aligned care. And that itself, I could have been turned off there, right?
Right,
But I went through so many things, and even with my health care, where I've had doctors literally, and I mean of the white race, tell me that I was exaggerating. And then I had a Latino doctor that did all the workup on me when I had a bad ear infection and told me no. He did an MRI. Look, you have a mastoid infection in your mastoid bone that's about to go to your brain. If you didn't come within 2 or 3 days, you would have been dead.
wow,
So even little things like that. So these are just things that start accumulating. And then what really set it off for me, besides my own lived experiences that I've gone through as an individual, was when I was working for a nonprofit. And I know you were talking about the, especially the political system that we're in right now, and we're seeing folks feel entitled to treat people and say certain things. And
right,
I was working in this specific nonprofit, and I started seeing the owner leaning right wing, but preaching one thing, but then, which, it's, to me, it's beyond. Look, if we're going to get the services set for people and get them, connected. That's what
right,
matters to me. But when you're trying to get people that are known for taking vital services away from communities and then put them in a nonprofit organization, which shouldn't even be politically affiliated with any side at all, I
right,
said, hold on. First of all, that turned me off. I started seeing the values weren't there, right?
right,
And I said, no, I want to build something myself that I have control over. And I literally told myself, I was talking to my brother. He said, you know what? Why don't, when I was explaining the situation of all the differences that were going on, he told me, look, you're basically running that nonprofit yourself. Why don't you just create something for you that you're passionate about? And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? That's what I should be doing. And I consider myself Afro Latina. I'm Puerto
right.
Rican descent, but even there's colorism within even the Latino community, which that's
Yeah, facts.
another another deep conversation, right? So I'm like, I want to tailor to the Black and Latino community. I want to break those stigmas, those disparities in healthcare and mental health care as well, and help families overall. So I started the nonprofit July of 2025, and we have various amount of partnerships. We won an award for best trauma informed nonprofit for women in South Carolina. I've been a
Wow,
women's insider, excuse me. I've done interviews on TV stations as well. So there's a lot of work that we're doing here. And one thing that I tell white folks, and just keeping it 100, because they get offended. I've had people tell me that I'm being racist because I have an organization that caters to people of color, and I
right,
educate them, right? Because they don't know the mortality rates, they don't know the disparities in healthcare. This is
right,
not about this separating the Black and Latino folks from the white folks.
right,
This in itself is about creating allyship and partnering with other communities so we can better understand each other and educate ourselves from the conditioning that has been had for generations.
right, right. And I was gonna say, one of the things that I found out by doing my research when it come down to people adding, politicians or people in political spaces to their nonprofits, is the nonprofit or the NGOs, are the main reason they be able to filter their money through, right? Whenever
Hmm.
they're able to do things and they want to do things in a way that's a little bit more, corrupt, but legally, they use nonprofit organizations to filter that money through, right? Because it's all based on donation base, right? And
Right.
in that donation base, those donations can be dispersed any way they want to. And so we know that that's one of the games that they play when it comes down to nonprofit organizations. So whenever you find yourself part of one that allows that to come in, best believe that, I guess they think that we don't know, but we do know that's the vibe. We know
Yeah.
that you're really trying to move that money through, and you really don't care about the services or the reason why we're really here to try to help people. Your goal ain't to help people. They'll probably take 1 or 2% and try to throw something towards somebody to make it seem like they helping, but the rest of that 98, 99% be split up amongst each other. And that's what's so foul when it comes down to these nonprofit organizations, because they're there just to help the people in some shape, form, of fashion. But then again, the people get used, right, based on the things that they're going through just for another person to get wealthy, which is really corny. But it's also a testament to what I was saying earlier about how we don't own anything. So I'm so grateful for you for taking the initiative to create a place where you can say to those that look like us, like, hey, listen, in the healthcare and financial space and the business space, there's a lot of things that are not for us, right? And what I mean
Yeah.
by not for us is not the actual businesses themselves, but the people who are owning these things that we're trying to get into. They don't want to see us win. So anything that they can do to keep us in a place where we can't, take a step higher, then they're going to do that. And so that's why I'm glad that y'all jumped out there, because um, we all, whether I know you Afro Latino, I know that's how you represent yourself, right? But then when if people really did the history of Puerto Rico in itself, then
Mm-hmm.
they will understand that technically, although the lighter skinned versions of Puerto Ricans and the darker skinned versions, because even on the island is separated in a certain
Yep.
space of wherever people are, right? Um, if they understand that the original where they come from, and I think that's the hardest part. People don't want to go back. So let me ask you this: whenever you decided that, all right, so these people, and it's the common denominator was Caucasian, doctors or Caucasian people in that space. um what made you feel like I bet? Because I know running a nonprofit is not easy.
Yeah. It's not.
It can't be. So outside of that, how did you go about building the right team that you could trust, right? To help you bring this vision to fruition.
One thing about me is I will make a way when there's no way, right? And I will get myself through
Mm,
the doors, right? And I will hustle and make connections. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. So, one of the ways, even locally, because look, I live in a predominantly white area. Okay.
mhm.
So and I've seen things and I've gone through things here myself, right? With these folks being racist. So one thing that I had to do was show my face in the community. And how did I show my face in the community? Literally by going to these wellness fairs, to these festivals, by showing who I am, right? By interconnecting with folks, right? By
Right.
doing the partnerships, because that's another thing, right? That takes a lot of research, and a lot of folks when they're mission aligned, because that's important, being with folks that are mission aligned. If they believe in what you believe in, they want to partner, right? So, and I did this all in under a year, right? So I have to make sure that I'm vetting also my therapists that come in into our network, that they're
Right.
on the same page that we are, because I'm all about culturally aligned care. And I'm unapologetically, I'm sorry that I say this all the time, because I recently had a white woman that called me saying that she felt like I was being racist because I have this organization, like I stated before, and that's not the first time I've gotten, white people on comments are telling me, you could get a lawsuit. You could be, get a lawsuit because you're discriminating against everyone, and you have to educate them about, look, especially us that are in the mental health field and even social workers, right?
Right.
Everything that we are about is about social justice and fighting disparities in our society. So when we see that there are underserved communities that are not getting the assistance that they need, it is our job to stand up and say no, to advocate and educate. So and that's what I've been doing. And when I've had folks, right, that have come to me, I educate them and I tell them, look, this is not about excluding you out of what we're doing. If anything, we need the allyships and the partnerships as well. But you also have to be open to being able to learn and expand your worldview to understand that sometimes because
Mm,
we're in a space where we've been conditioned to believe one way, we close off and we don't want to understand what someone else in a different culture has gone through because we
right.
feel entitled to our feelings and we feel entitled to our lifestyles, right? So
Right.
we have to decondition, and when I mean deep uncondition as well in our society, we have to uncondition our mindsets, and that starts not only with us in the community, because we do have to
Right.
do that within the community, but we
Right.
also have to educate these folks, these white folks as well, and be unapologetic about it as well, to let them know we have the right to receive the services that we need, and we don't have to apologize because we know the struggles that we go through and it's based on
Right.
lived experience. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to hinder, or I'm not going to subclude myself or quiet myself because it makes you feel better.
Right.
No, that's
Right.
not. We need to cut it at the head, right?
Right.
Respectfully, we could be respectful, but no, it's not about caring about people's feelings, because people, one way or another, in a sense, there's always going to be something. You can always please everyone, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's respectfully telling them, look, this is what we're about, this is what we believe, this is what we have gone through as a culture. And if you can't respect that, that's fine, but that's not going to stop my advocacy work and fighting
Right.
for us to have better systems in place.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important part, right? Is because, it's not maliciously being done. It's just the fact that we're finding solutions to our problems, right? If we've been pushing the integrated society ever since segregation, right? We've been, Jim Crow and all that other stuff. We've been pushing to a segregated society. Now, within that society, we have been getting the lesser amount of all the treatments when it comes down to it. In fact, we've been experimenting on more than we've been treated, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we taking matters into our own hands is technically the people who are on that other end is their fault. Like, I don't understand why they complain about things that is their fault. It's like, why would you train a dog to bite and then when he bites somebody you get mad at him, right? We have been in a place where all we've been doing is trying to be a part of, and ever since we've been trying to be a part of, we've been getting the lesser in, we've been getting our backs kicked in, we've been getting experiments and all these other things done on us, versus somebody just understanding that we human beings and we're going through things, and mentally everyone is going through trauma. It doesn't matter the success level of a person that looks like us. It still took a trauma based
Yes.
situation in order for us to get there. We had to overcome. It wasn't no, yellow brick road to our success of everything that we're going to do. And one of the main things that a lot of people lack, which I hope this changes, is consistency, right? Being consistent in your mission of whatever that mission is. That's one of the things that a lot of people lack. So the fact that you guys and your organization is putting together this particular scenario to be consistent for people who need the advocacy or need those services on a consistent basis, because we know some of the trauma that people are going through is not necessarily new. Some people are almost 50 and they still dealing with something
Oh
that happened to them when
yeah.
they was 13, right? Or when they was 8 or when they was 12. Like all these certain things that affected their lives all the way up to. It's certain people that really need to unpack, and it's going to take more than just one or two, visits or conversations with a professional in order for them to unpack the things that they've been holding on to for decades, right? So there's no quick fix to that. It's just that the people who know that they have a problem and they want to get help, they should be able to get that help, because there's so many people who walk around here who don't realize that they got an issue.
Yeah.
They think that it's just them. They talk about it's my zodiac, it's where I'm from, and all this other shit, and it's not. This is the choices
Yeah.
that you make, and we
Mm,
understand our environment shapes a lot of things that
us.
we go through, right? So I understand that part too, but having, you know, emotional intelligence is not something that none of us was born with. We all had to learn this,
Yes.
right? It's not something that none of us was born with. Nobody was born with emotional intelligence. We all had to learn it. Some shape, form, or fashion, we had to. So I'm grateful for that in the sense of what y'all doing. So in South Carolina, like you said, you're in Myrtle Beach, and we understand that in South Carolina has a deep rooted history and so many things that deal with racism. I mean, history books. I mean, in South Carolina, right? We know things have gone down. But the fact that you guys are doing it in a place where we are, because we're there,
Yep.
and you're doing it in spite of the comments you're getting from, Caucasian women or whatever, and anybody else who may be against the fact that you're for you. That's
Right.
foul, because in our lives, even when it's with us, um, people are mad when you're for you, right? They want you to be for them and what they think. Because even in your community, in the Puerto Rican community, we understand that they got people who are the lighter versions and then the darker versions, and they don't get along. And it's like, how? Y'all
You want
dealing with the same shit.
you want to hear something funny? My husband, we're both Puerto Rican, but he's white, 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 white. I mean, he could pass for white.
Right.
And I'm obviously, like I said, I consider myself Afro Latina. So when we go right in South Carolina to certain places and we're together, we've gotten looks. So they would never see, because like I tell even people in the Latino community, when you're seen, people are looking at your race, they're not looking at your ethnicity. Okay.
Mm,
And that's the issue in the Latino community, that they think, right? I remember growing up used to hearing comments like, oh, we have to better the race, trying to be funny about marrying lighter, right?
yeah.
And just ignorant comments. But it's because of the interracial look, intergenerational trauma, interracial
Mm,
trauma as well, and the conditioning. And then when you were talking about things that people haven't healed from the age of probably even 13 or even before, because of their, and this goes into developmental psychology as well, right? This all right, because we have to understand, especially when we talk about our parents and our family members. Now we're in a space where we're getting so much, even a little bit of oversaturation on mental health, but they're doing what they've been taught, right? On
yeah.
in our cultures, it's either pray it away, is you're not, you don't need a, I don't need therapy, I'm fine, I can handle things on my own, because we've been taught that we need to be strong and overcome despite no matter what, right? And if you were to go and see a therapist, that's a weakness, where instead, right, we have to decondition ourselves that that's actually a strength. Because when you're at your most lowest and and you're just feeling vulnerable, and you know that, hey, there's something not go right with me emotionally,
Right.
whatever it is, and I need to get
Right.
that checked. That shows strength, because you're admitting, right, you're taking the accountability. And that's what we need to push, right? Taking the accountability for, right, our mistakes, or for how we're feeling. It's okay not to be okay. And like I say all the time, I don't believe
Yeah.
in broken people. I believe in broken systems. And that's what I'm
Right.
trying to fix, the broken systems, and not just talk about it. Because, like you were saying earlier, I know a lot of nonprofits, and I won't mention their names, but the bigger ones, that they come. into the smaller nonprofits, right? They try to partner with them to get the data. Once they get the data, they extract that so they can continue their funding and they could take the money for themselves, right? And like you say, or you were saying, money laundering goes into that as well, right? And they move funds. So I've seen it myself, and this is why so many grassroots organizations struggle, because the money's not being allocated where it should. It's almost pre-planned to go to
Yeah.
specific places and moved.
Facts. And we saw that with the Black Lives Matter situation.
Oh yeah.
That's why I think that even when it comes down to us doing things for us, we got to be held accountable, even when because a lot of times, because those are people who look like us, and I say that not to call us a color. I don't like to identify as a color. I feel like that gives us no lineage, no direct connection to nothing that's historic just by being a color, right? So, but when I say people that look like us, that's what I mean. But there's a thing in society where those of us that look like us, whenever we start to talk about what we're going through, is either we're complaining or we're ungrateful for not being in the position that we was in before, instead of people understanding that you know the trauma that we hold on to, and it comes from, it's a lot of times it be passed down as well too, like a lot of things that we're taught, it's like you said earlier, from our parents or from their parents, was trauma that they had to deal with on their generation before they brought us into the world. A lot of times they pass those things down to us, and unknowingly we hold those things in. So then now when we get grown, like you said earlier, we've had to force our way and struggle our way through so much that we don't look for outside people to give us help. Why? Because just having certain conversations growing up with certain people, and then whenever they get mad at you, they use it against you. That's
Mm,
one of the main reasons why people do not feel like talking to another person is going to do them any good. They rather internalize it, use whatever coping mechanism that they could use to get through or get by, or turn that pain into passion. But we understand that there's a thin line between that. There's those of us who turn that pain into passion, and then there's
mhm,
those who turn that pain into escapism,
mhm,
drugs, alcohol, whatever those things can be, to take their mind off of whatever they've been thinking about, like you said earlier, or what I was talking about from whenever they was 8, 9, 13, 15, whatever the situation was that rocked their world, that caused them to be uh, sort of in their space where they're saying this is their personality.
yeah.
Not knowing that it's not your personality, this is your reaction to your trauma.
Right.
And so that's another reason why a lot of people don't like to talk to people. What do you think about that particular, what I mean by that?
That is, everything that you just described, that in itself is a trauma. Because if you share confidential information with someone that you trust and they break that trust and they use it against you as a weakness, how do you internalize that? Because we've been conditioned that we have to overcome the weakness. So
Mm,
that in itself, right? Because at that point we internalize, hey, so, and it's part of your fight or flight mode as
yep.
well. It's a way of protecting yourself, so you put a barrier so no one can cross that barrier. So, and this is the thing, and this is what we have to realize, right? We, yes, we cannot condone other people's actions. They have to be held accountable for their own actions. But we also have to understand that just because someone did me wrong doesn't mean everyone else in my life is going to do me wrong. And also, right, separate the two, right?
Mm,
Compartmentalize, because what we do as human beings, right, because of our fight or flight mode, we tend to say, oh, this happened, so I have to protect myself, I have to put a barrier. So when people get too close, alert, I have to shut down, and I have to protect myself, because I don't want to be at a place where I'm feeling weak, vulnerable, used, hurt, because we don't want, right, we don't want to go back to that space of
Right.
when we felt that. So it's better to make the excuse of I'm okay the way I am, or saying, like you were just saying, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. Okay. And then when people state that people can't change, that old dogs can learn new tricks, right?
Right.
Those are excuses. I'm sorry, but those are excuses. It's never too late to do a 360 if you really chose, and work on your trauma. And it take, let me tell you, this is why even in therapy, finding the right therapist is a major thing, but finding one as well that shares, that is culturally responsive with your worldview, because they understand that
Right.
worldview. Because there's so many things that we go through, and it's not, to what you were saying earlier, they want us to make us feel that we're victimizing ourselves.
Mm.
And no, and this is why I say I'm unapologetic about that. This is not about victimizing ourselves. This is of what it is. And at the end of the day, if they don't want to take the accountability, that's on them. But what are we gonna do to heal our communities and make spaces for ourselves? Because no one else is coming to save us. We have to make
Facts.
those spaces. We have to open those doors in those communities and those spaces for us to grow and heal and help each other overcome at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that because we can't do this life on our own. I think so many of us have been forced into a life of solitude because of allowing certain people in that we cared about that didn't feel the same way about us. And I think when people get into that space, I think it's because they forget that we all have a certain level of lessons that we need to learn. And everybody that comes into our life, a lot of times that's what they are. They're not meant to be the factor in which your life is determined by, but they're there to be a lesson and to help you either grow or you will choose to stay where you are. That's why people are embedded in our lives. It's even in our family because there are some people who their worst enemy is not a stranger. It's somebody that they know. It's somebody that they love. It's somebody that they grew up around. It's
Yeah.
somebody that they're connected to blood or DNA wise is the worst person in their life or people that they don't get along with the most. But instead of them understanding that that's what, there's a lesson in what you're going through. Now, it's hard to say that to a person who's been physically abused. Like I've had people on the
Hmm.
platform who's been physically abused, and a lot of times they've been physically abused by the person who was supposed to protect them, the person that they believed in, the person who was supposedly would not do these things to them. So then when you turn around and you get out there and you face the world, it makes them feel like, look, if this person who was supposed to love me, sometimes the person, people that brought us in the world, whatever their family member level is, we look at them as if they will hurt us, then we know any other stranger in the world
Hmm.
will. But that's the wrong mentality because a lot of times these people were put in place for us to learn something from. Now, you said it earlier, which was really dope. Like people have to take accountability for their own actions. We're not supposed to walk around. Forgiveness is one thing, but we're not supposed to allow the same thing to happen to us again
Yeah.
because we know that that was a lesson for us. Right? Physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, we all go through it at some shape, form, or fashion. Physical abuse, though, to me, is a whole nother level, right?
I know.
Because there's a
Yeah.
there's a lot of people whose innocence was taken away from them from some nasty ass adult that they trusted, not necessarily from some stranger out in the street who just felt
Mhm.
violent enough to take something from them, right? But people around them that they know. That hurt the worst for the people that I talked to that happened to. Why? Because they loved the person.
Yep.
And that's why I'm saying to that effect about whenever we tell people that we love, even if it's in relationships, some of the things that you've gone through, and then when they get upset, they use it against you. That's another reason that puts you back into that
Hmm.
mindset, right? Because some people have gone through things with the people that they love, not strangers, right?
Yes.
So that's the difference. So what do you think about that?
Well, let me talk from lived experience because I've gone through it. I've been through domestic violence where, when I was married in a previous marriage where the guy almost killed me, right? So these are things, right? These are traumas, right? Even as we grow, right? Even with physical abuse, right? Because it can even happen in the household, right? And because in our cultures, we think it's discipline, but there's a fine line between discipline and literally abusing a child, right? And these are things that go and pass on from generations to generation. But when in your mind, because it's human nature for the mind to protect itself and put a barrier, especially when someone that you loved has done something to you, or as well if you trust that person and they use those things against you, right? Because the mind is going to compartmentalize. Now
Hmm.
I have to protect myself. I can't continue to do this again. But
Yeah.
two paths. There's two paths, like you were saying. Either you could choose the road to forgiveness and learn, or there's people that decide to live in that hurt and that anger and pass it down. That's when the generational trauma goes and happens, right? Because we're not dealing with the issues that have
Right.
happened to us, and because we do not know how to and it's not because this is what I tell people: healing is not linear. We continuously we're healing. It's not, oh, I'm healed, I'm good, all said and done, and I can move on. No, we have to check ourselves sometimes when we're out
Facts.
of pocket, because I've had to do it as well. I'm human. I'm not immune, right, to sometimes get out of character. Even with the we do it even with the closest people that we love, and
Right.
sometimes we project that trauma onto them without realizing it. But the important part is checking yourself when you're doing it, because one thing that I tell people, I'm not prone or exempt from apologizing when I know that I'm wrong. Now, if I'm
Right.
continuing to use the apology as an excuse but continue the behavior, then that in itself, that's a major issue as well, because
True.
I'm not growing. I'm still in that place. I'm using it as an excuse and I'm not continuing to grow and evolve. But at the end of the day, I mean, just in the psychology, when we talk about environmental psychology, developmental
Hmm.
psychology, it starts from childhood.
Yeah.
Everything that you observe as a child, you will bring it up to your adulthood. And if you do
Right.
not deal with those traumas and with that pain and with that anger, right, and
Right.
resentment, these are things even to our kids that we end up passing down to subconsciously without
Yeah.
even realizing it. So it
Yeah.
takes a strong person, in my opinion, to know I need to break these generational curses for
Yeah.
my kids to have a better future for their own kids moving
Right.
forward, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a fact. And I think that's accountability, right? We all have to take accountability for our own lives. We understand that we're not meant to live alone, but we are meant to be in control of ourselves,
Right,
in the sense of how can we be in community with other people if not to be able to control ourselves. We can't control other people. We can defend ourselves from other people, right? But we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves. And that's where accountability comes in. And that's the one thing that I noticed that a lot of people lack is accountability. They don't want to be wrong. They don't
right,
want to be viewed as, they want to be viewed as this is how I am, not that how you are is wrong. I'm sorry. Like we get that that's how you are, but that's not how it is because that's how
right.
you, right? So that's one of the things that I felt like is the most important thing I hope that people get out of our conversation tonight was that, accountability is really the root of everything, right? In order
Mm,
for you to want to go seek any type of help, counseling services or whatever, you got to be accountable to the fact that
right,
you know that everything with you ain't right. That's so the bottom line is that like if there was ever a magic word of the day, I know when my son he be watching Sesame Street, they'd be like the word of the day is, and I'm saying if it come down to us, the word of every day as an adult is accountability.
Yes.
You have to be accountable for your own actions and your own thoughts. We can't blame our third grade teacher for holding us back and we upset because we can't blame our uncle or our aunts or our grandparents or our
Right.
parents for what they did. We can judge them based on what they did, right? Because they put us through it. But in order for us to keep moving, we can't allow what they did to dictate how we move forward because they chose a life that we don't want to live. And I
Mm.
think the number one thing that most people forget that our goal is freedom, right?
Yes.
Our goal should not just be wealth or
Mm.
materialism or like free. If freedom is those things for you, then fine. But freedom should be all of our goals, right? Our goal should not be just to try to survive or get by. Our goal should be freedom, and people should be in control of their time. I think about this all the time. It's people selling us time, right? That they didn't create. They sell
Mm.
us that. They sell us land that they didn't create. They
Yeah.
sell a lot of things that they didn't do. They stop the fruit trees, and then now we got to go buy the fruit from inside the store when it actually grows outside,
Yeah.
right? So we've allowed them to condition us to be, I guess, dependent versus interdependent. So I'm thankful for you coming on the platform today and sharing your expertise and also, you know, being an advocate for those people who are dealing with as much as they could deal with mentally and they just felt like they can't deal with it no more, right?
Mhm.
They need to get this out. And even me, I realized that a lot of things I've gone through, when said it out loud, I got it. But when I
Right.
kept thinking about it in my head and over just thinking and thinking, I just felt it in my body and it made me feel bad, made me feel worse, made me do all these other things. But whenever I said it out loud, that's when it started to feel like, oh, you know what? That was corny as shit. I let that bother me. Yo, that was stupid that I'm sitting around here
Yeah.
worried about this. But it ain't till you say it out loud sometimes. And that's what talking to another person does. When you say these things out loud, you start to really understand how corny it is that you're allowing somebody who ain't losing no sleep over you dictate what you going forward.
You're giving them that power.
Exactly. That they
Mm-hmm.
not even asking for it. It's just
Yeah.
like so many
Yeah.
people who blame the devil for stuff and he like, oh me? I ain't do that. That was
Oh my
you.
God, let me tell you, as and I say this as a Christian, I'm sorry, when especially right in the Christian faith, where we're almost and always blaming the devil, the devil. No, we have to be accountable as well for our actions, okay? Because sometimes we put ourselves in environments and situations and attract certain energies and people, and we have to hold ourselves accountable because we all have free will, right? So you
Right.
have the free will to stay in a situation or and also
Exit. Mhm.
exit, and then you also have the chance to make the decision of, do I want to continue to be this way, or can I choose another path? So when people
Right.
say, oh, the devil, no, we always have a choice. You always have a choice. And let's just say it is, then you better rebuke that, and then if that's the case, then you better keep it moving, going forward.
Yeah, you're right. I like that, yo. It's still you got to be accountable in that way too. When you
Yeah.
recognize bad energy, evil spirits, or whatever is going on, then you have to be in a position that you fight that.
Mm,
So you got to be
yeah.
able to be accountable for everything. You cannot blame. I remember, before we get out of here, I do want to say this. I remember there was a time where the Amityville thing that was taking place in New York was a big thing because a guy, he killed all these people in his house, and he said that it was the voices that was in the house telling him to do it. He felt like he was possessed, and so of course they didn't allow the possession uh, evidence to be something that got him off. He still went to jail and did all these other things. The point is, though, they didn't believe the possession part, but he did. So what I'm saying is that a lot of times whenever other people just don't believe us doesn't mean that it's not real or what we've gone
Mm,
through is not real. The point is though, they did everything but move. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's the
Right.
accountability part. He's actually lived in the house. It led up to what happened. It wasn't like it was overnight. It took a leading up to it. It just slowly took him over to the point where that's what he wanted to do. I can't remember how long they actually lived in a property before something happened to him, but they did everything but take accountability and move, or he did. Right? They just stayed there and allowed himself to go deep and down into that dark path of being possessed to the point where he did what he did, right? And that's the thing that I wanted to say towards what you said. There's a lot of people out here who don't realize that they're being possessed, right? It's
Mm,
something that's taking over them, that their thoughts and their traumas are their possessors.
yes.
And until they are willing to do an exorcism, so to speak, which is what the exorcism is. It's releasing that thing that's in you and getting it out. Same thing without it being dramatic in TV. That's what going to speak to other people is. It's a form of exorcism, getting that bad thing that's
It's a
in you and
cleanse.
getting it out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always that thing. So before we get out of here, I want to do this. I want you to tell people how they could find you, how they could get in contact with you if they need the services that you provide in the South Carolina area. Do you help people that are in other states or whatever? How can they get a hold of you and figure these things out?
Y- Yes, you can find us at Daughters of Both Sons, and that's suns.org. We serve nationwide. We're based in South Carolina. We do a lot of initiative work here, but we also help nationwide. We have a broad network of therapists in different states. So we will reach out and help whoever's in need. And that's one thing that I like to emphasize. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Daughters of Both Sons as well. And then even on our website, we I do panels, webinars, workshops virtually. So we're always on the move, right? And there's an important one because we just hit this about healing what history left behind. That's in August, and
Mm,
it's going to be talking about, you know, race, our cultures, faith, and just systemically and racially things that we have gone through. And I'm having therapists there, right? Mental health counselors that are Black and Latina. Right. And we're going to be talking about this in a panel discussion and heal through breaking those stigmas and also the conditioning that we've had within both cultures. So
right.
there's a lot of things that we're doing. So and that's also on our website. And I'm always, presenting and talking. So there's something for everyone at the end of the day.
Facts. So for all of y'all that watch tonight, thank y'all so much. For all of y'all that's gonna watch the playback, thank y'all again. And I want all of y'all out there to know that health is wealth, right? And your mental health is just as important as your physical health, right? If not more important than your physical health, because without the brain, then everything else
Mm-hmm.
it just falls, right? So we have to be in control of our own situations. We have to be in control of our own actions, and I want y'all to get the help. So Jessica is definitely, in her organization, the Daughters of Both Sons, is available for you guys to reach out and to get that said help. Like, remember, if you want to get the things that's inside of you up out of you, then you have to go to people who are prepared to help you usher those things out of you. Like she said, help you with that cleanse. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you are a Christian or not, remember there was a point in time where Jesus had to be anointed himself. Right,
Mm-hmm.
even though he came, he still was anointed himself in the river. So I want all of you guys out there to really take that into consideration. Don't just fight your traumas all by yourself if you find yourself just not winning the fight. If you find yourself keep in a draw, then you gotta get some help. Either you losing or you're in a draw, you need some help. Please reach out to daughtersofbothsons.org. Get the information. If you saw this conversation and you want to let them know this is how you found them, please do that. But other than that, don't fight alone. There's people out here who are willing to fight that fight with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Yvette, Jessica, don't go nowhere. My outro will play, and then we'll talk a little bit behind scenes so we can help, move things around. But for everybody else, y'all know the vibes each and every week, man. I get up here and I talk to some of the world's most interesting people, and we're gonna continue to do that. So y'all know that I say this each and every week, and it's really true. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So until next week.
Let's roll. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah. Co-pilot on the passenger side, be so fly. Yeah. She so lit, we so high. Just me and my chick, yeah. Just me and my chick, yeah.